Alright, so you have clicked on this video because you want to practice some questions for PMP exam before you take the actual exam. And if that's so, then I'll try to ensure that whatever time that you spend with this video is helpful in your understanding, in your preparation for the exam. I'm Amit and I'm a PMP trainer at Adjust Project Academy. I have created 5 situational scenario-based questions for your practice from the task Manage Conflict, which is the first task from exam content outline. While discussing these questions, I'll help you understand why one option is better than the others and why other options are wrong. I'll also be talking about the mindset and tips that will help you in not just this question, but many other questions related to some other tasks also. All these tips and mindset would be listed down in the description box. You can go to our description box, copy it from there, and keep it as a list, which will be helpful for you in the last moment of your preparation. At the end of this video, we'll also summarize what are the important things that you need to know for this particular task. So it will be like a checklist saying that yes, if I am saying that I have prepared for this task, then these are the 5-6 things that I have done. It will be helpful in your preparation in understanding whether you are prepared or not. Alright, so let's discuss the question number 1. A project manager has noticed that some of the team members are not very comfortable in talking to other team members, and a few of them have engaged in verbal disagreements as well. The project manager is concerned about the situation affecting the team's working relationship. Right? So the point here is that the team members are not very comfortable in talking to one another, some of the team members, and a few of them have also got engaged in a verbal disagreement. So the project manager is concerned, will this impact the team's working relationship? Okay? It's a very good practice that you understand the situation well so that you are able to answer the question that follows. That would be the structure of almost every PMP question. They'll give you a situation, a scenario, then they'll ask you a question based on that scenario. They'll give you 4 choices and you will have to select the best one. Okay? The first step would be to understand the scenario very well. Try to visualize it, try to put yourself in that situation, try to wear the project manager's hat and then understand that situation. So the situation here is team members are not comfortable, they are having disagreement, and the project manager is concerned that this may impact the working relationship. The question that follows is, what is the project manager's best course of action in this scenario? Okay. So they are asking for the best course of action given this scenario. Let us see. Ask the team members to work remotely to avoid further conflicts. So if you look at this option, it's a decision being taken, right? So the project manager is taking a decision that okay, we will start working remotely. Whenever you take a decision, especially when you're talking about PMP exam options, and you see that a decision is being taken, it has to be justified through the information given in the question. For now, the question says the project manager is concerned about something, right? So first you would want to validate the concern. It's a doubt. You would want to verify it, right? Rather than just taking an action to say that, okay, let's start working remotely just because I'm concerned that there's a conflict. Okay? So which means we are saying that just because people are working together, they're having conflict. There's no guarantee that even if they work remotely, they'll be able to resolve these conflicts. Right? So the point here is that we are talking about option A, which is a decision that is not justified. And if it is not justified, I cannot say that this is the best course of action. And in this case, we can eliminate it because we don't know whether this decision to work remotely will work or not. Right? As a project manager, you will take a decision only if you know for sure that this decision will work, or if you have discussed among your team and you believe that this is the best possible decision. Right? Not just because there's a concern, not just because you came to know about a problem. You'll not start taking decisions in the project. Right? Then we go to B. Actively observe the interactions over a few days and note the findings. Right? So if you're concerned, observe, see what's happening, note down the findings, and if your concern is validated, then take action, then take decisions. Okay? So as you now see, B looks much better than A. Why would I suddenly ask everybody to start working remotely? Rather than that, I would want to verify my concern. And that's what option B is talking about. So we'll keep this. Okay. Then we go to C. Discuss the situation with human resource manager for a solution. So now here, look at the point. The point is that us as project managers, and we have team members. So there's a concern within the team members, and I am the project manager. Why do I need to involve anybody else? Okay, whether it was a sponsor, whether it was functional manager, whether it was a resource manager, whether it is human resource manager, anything. Why would I want to involve anybody else? I'm the leader of the team. There's a conflict within my team. We should be able to resolve it. Right? So in this case, what I like to call it as is a third party involvement. Right? Project manager, let's say, for example, is the first party, team member is the second party, anybody else is a third party. Right? So why would I need to involve anybody external here? Right? It's not justified again. So I will not do that. Then we'll go to D. Ask the team to discuss and update the ground rules. Again, asking the team to discuss is not a bad idea. Okay, but updating the ground rules is, because we are saying that the conflict is happening because of the ground rules. Right? So you are pinpointing the root cause of a problem just based on your concern. Right? We cannot do that. It's not justified. There's no information given in the question that is saying that the ground rule is not proper and because of which they are facing a problem. Right? Similar to option A, it was not confirmed that people working together and that is why they are facing a problem. Right? So working remotely was a decision. Updating the ground rules is a decision which we cannot take because we don't have enough information in the question. Right? So we could eliminate A and D. C was eliminated because involving anybody external from the project manager and the project team, we need some justification. We need to have some proper reason for that. That reason is also not available in the question. So we could eliminate this. We had kept B because it looked good. That yes, I have a concern, I would observe and I'll verify it. Right? So this looks like a very good choice. The mindset here is that whenever you see a situation being discussed in the question, and if they are talking about some kind of concern, a stakeholder's complaint, a team member's understanding of something, okay, rather than a particular report, rather than a particular analysis giving you that information. So if it is just a concern, complaint, suggestion, recommendation, right, these needs to be verified first before we take a decision. Right? And A and D talked about decisions, we eliminated it. Second thing that we learned today is that whenever we see some situation, okay, where we are involved and we are handling it, situations, issues, problems related to execution of the project, right? Managing the project, we don't need to involve anybody else. We are self-sufficient. Only if the question says that yes, we tried our best, but we could not succeed, then maybe I'll involve somebody else. And that's how we eliminated option C. B was left, and that's how we selected it. Right? So the point here is that whenever you are solving PMP exam questions, try to look for mistakes. It's easier to find mistakes than to find whether everything is correct or not. Right? And if you found a mistake and you're sure about that mistake, then eliminate it. Whatever option would be left would be your best choice. Okay. Now let's move to question number 2. Now, if you want to practice these questions, you can always pause the video, look at the questions, read the options, attempt it yourself, select the choice in your mind, and then unpause the video, see my explanation, whether it matches with your explanation or not. If not, put in the comment box that this is what I thought, this is what you have explained. Can you re-explain it, or can you correct your explanation, or can you correct me, my mindset, right? Anything. So please work with this video, right? Then it will be helpful. If you're just listening to it, it will be helpful. But if you work with it, if you think, if you write, it will be much more beneficial than just watching this video. Okay? So let's have a look at question number 2. A supplier supporting the civil works of a construction project was involved in a conflict with a few of the project team members. A similar conflict was noticed earlier as well, but they had resolved the issues via discussion amongst themselves. All right? The analysis done by the project manager suggests that such conflicts may extend the project completion date. Okay? So again, the same practice, understand the situation well. The situation is that there is a supplier conflicting with the team members. There were some earlier conflicts also, but they could resolve it among themselves. Right? Now the project manager has done some analysis. Right? In the previous question, it was just a concern. Now the project manager has done some analysis, and that suggests that such conflict may extend the project completion date. So these kind of conflicts may have an impact on our schedule, right? That's what the situation is. As I said, it's very, very important that we understand the situation well. Once you have understood the situation, half of the job is done. Okay, we just need to finalize which option is best in that to answer the question. Let's see what the question is. Which of the following is the most appropriate action for the project manager to take? Right? Earlier question was talking about the best action. This one is talking about appropriate action. It's almost one and the same. So let's see the options and then we'll decide what is the best. So we learned from previous question that we will look for mistakes. Okay, and if I find a mistake, I'll be able to eliminate that option very quickly. Right? Because we just need to find one mistake. For an option to be correct, it needs to be correct from all the aspects. For an option to be wrong, you just need to find one mistake. And ensure that when you find a mistake, you are very sure that yes, this is a mistake. Even if you have a slight little bit of doubt, don't eliminate it. Okay, so let's see. Do nothing, because conflicts help in innovative ideas in a project. Yes, conflict does help in innovative ideas in a project. But do nothing about it. Do nothing if your analysis says that it might impact the project completion date is not a good way of managing project, right? So we have found our mistake. We'll eliminate it. Then we go to B. Discuss with procurement manager to identify a new supplier. Okay? So this is also kind of a decision. That okay, a supplier is having conflict with my team. Let's find a new supplier. What's the guarantee that the new supplier will not have a conflict? Right? So we have to go to the root cause, understand why it happened, and only then take a decision. Right? Again, this analysis only talks about impact of the problem. It does not talk about the root cause of the problem. Right? Why the problem happened. So because we don't know why the problem happened, hence we cannot take a decision saying that we'll identify a new supplier. So B is also wrong because we have found a mistake. Right? We have taken a decision without knowing the root cause. We cannot do that. We should not do that as a project manager. And we cannot do that in PMP exam for sure. Let's go to C. Rearrange the team members with different responsibilities. Now you must have seen it already. Right? Again, a decision that will rearrange the team members with different responsibilities. In option B, we are saying supplier is at fault. In option C, we are saying team members are at fault. Where has that information been given in the question for us to select that, right? So we can eliminate C as well. So what is the last option left? Facilitate a meeting between the team members and suppliers, right? So if you see that there is something in the project which could impact my project, and there are supplier and team members involved, bring those parties and facilitate a discussion. They tried it themselves. Okay, it did not work. Some conflicts still are pending. So you also get involved, right, as a project manager and help them resolve the conflict. So in this question, the mindset is that when the team members or the conflicting parties have tried themselves, okay, then the project manager should get involved and help them in resolving the conflict. And this is true for any type of escalation that we work with in project management. Team tried themselves, project manager should get involved. Project manager and team has tried themselves, sponsor can get involved. HR can get involved. Anybody else can get involved. Right? In the last question, we did not involve anyone because there was no information in the question that would say that the project manager and team has done their job. Here it does. Here it says that the conflict was tried to be resolved, or some conflicts were resolved by the team members and the suppliers. So now the project manager can get involved, right? And this is the best choice. Okay, you may have done this question easily through any other methods also. Okay, when you look at the option and you see that okay, these are not good options, D looks like a good option, and you can select it, and which is absolutely correct. There's nothing wrong in that. Okay, but the way I explain it and the tips and the mindset that I talk about would help you in solving many other questions also, maybe more difficult questions also than this. Okay, so focusing on the mindset, focusing on the tips is very important so that you prepare for not just this question but multiple other questions as well. Let us go to question number 3. The investors investing in a software development project want to take advantage of high revenue through users that are early adopters by releasing incrementally. All right. The team, however, is opposed to the idea as they believe it will lead to bad quality product in many of the releases and suggests a fully completed product. Okay. So the situation says investors are suggesting to release incrementally. Team is suggesting to release a fully completed product. Okay. That's the situation is. In the exam, you will not know that this is a question from conflict. So you will have to understand it. Yes, there is some conflict here. Okay. Then once you have understood the situation, go to the question. Which conflict management resolution technique can help the project manager the best? So they are very clearly asking you what is the decision that you will take or which technique would you apply to take a decision. Okay. So let's see. Direct and force. Right? Now, to be able to answer this question, you should know all the 5 techniques. Fifth one is missing here, but all the 5 resolution techniques so that you can take a decision. Direct and force means you are directing somebody that do this, forcing somebody to take a decision, that take this decision. Right? Why would that be true here? Right? We would want to understand about the conflict a little bit better. Right? And then if we realize that, okay, one option is better and it is beneficial for my project, then I would try to direct somebody. Okay, I would try to resolve a conflict where both the teams are happy, both the conflicting parties are happy. In this case, team and investors. Rather than forcing a decision, the investors are providing money in the project, let us do everything what they say. Right? Not a good idea. We should always take decisions for the benefit of the project, not to please anybody, not to say that, okay, sponsors, investors, they are running the project, they are providing the money, whatever they say, we will submit ourselves to them and we'll do everything. Not required. Okay, they are not providing you money to do what they say. They are providing you money, they are providing you money in the project to do what is best for the project, so that their money which is put in the project gets the maximum returns. Right? So our duty is to provide the maximum returns to our investors, maximum returns to our suppliers, not to just submit ourselves to them and say that, okay, whatever you say is written in the Bible and we'll follow it. Okay, no. Right? So which technique should we use? Can we direct and force directly? No. Right? So does not look like good. If you think that this might also be true considering other choices, then you can keep it, you cannot eliminate it. Otherwise, from my understanding, I think a technique that we will use should talk about both the parties rather than just one party. Okay, so direct and smooth, we'll say that, okay, we'll go with this technique, not anything else. Smooth and accommodate would talk about, okay, I give up my opinion, we'll go with somebody else's. Right? That also cannot be applied here. The teams is saying that, okay, I give up, whatever the investor is saying is fine, or investor is saying that I give up, whatever the team is saying is fine. So both the options, if you look at it, one option says that I'll force my opinion. Other option is saying I'll give up on my opinion. Either way, it is wrong. Right? And either way, it should be done only for the benefit of the project. Okay? Nothing is saying here that these techniques would benefit the project, and hence we could eliminate that. Then we go to C, withdrawal. Withdrawal basically means that we will not have this conflict, we will not try to resolve this conflict, we'll discuss it later, we'll gather some more information and then we will decide. Okay. See, currently, if you have to decide the approach, it must be decided. You cannot delay this. Right? Deciding an approach could be one of the first thing that you will do in the project. Are we going to manage it in traditional approach, agile approach, or a mix of it? What agile framework? Which, right? You have to decide your approach and methodology in the beginning itself. You cannot keep it on hold. So C can also be eliminated. Option D, compromise and reconcile. Now the compromise would mean that investor point of view would be taken, but little bit of it would not be done. Team's point of view would be taken, but little bit of it would not be done. So it will more like a sacrifice from both the ends. They'll be compromising on it. Right? And when they do it, either of their points are also taken. Right? So we can select this choice. Now in this case, collaboration would have been much better, because you are bringing both the parties discussing and then deciding. But in absence of that, compromise is the second best choice. Okay, so that's what you have to do. Just a quick reminder, understand the situation, and answer the question. While looking at the options, try to eliminate whatever you can. Whatever is left, just check whether it is the best thing to do or not. Put a tick, move ahead. Okay. Now, very important point for exam. Sometimes they will not give you these terms. They'll talk about the situation that explains these terms. And an example of that you see in the question. Right? So they are explaining about agile approach. They are explaining about traditional approach. Right? So they will not always mention that, okay, investor is saying we'll do it through agile approach. Team is saying we'll do it through traditional approach. Which one will you select? And which technique will you use? Right? That would be a very simple question. That would be not a situation-based question that you will face as a situation in the projects. Right? So keep in mind that though they might not mention the terms as it is, they might explain it in the options or in the question. You have to understand what they're talking about, and so that you can answer the questions well. Right? In this case, it was just about conflict. It was not about traditional or agile. It could be anything, any conflict. Okay, so this question is about conflict management. So there is a point A from a person 1, and there's a point B from a group 2. Okay? And that's what it is. It's A versus B. How would you resolve this conflict? Through compromise, because we should try to find out a way in which both the parties are kind of happy. Okay? Now let's move to question number 4. Two group of members of the team working on a new agile project disagree on selecting a testing methodology. Right? So they're talking about some kind of disagreement. One group wants to run an extensive test at the end of the product, while another group wants to do tests on partially completed products. Okay? So one is saying at the end, other is saying on partially completed also. They have not been able to select the methodology despite multiple meetings among themselves. So there's a disagreement. They have talked about the disagreement also, and they've also said that the team could not solve it among themselves. Now this disagreement is leading to a tense environment between the members. Okay? So while you are reading this question or the scenario itself, you would realize the mindset that we were talking about. Right? And if you have developed those mindset, it will help you a lot. Right? So while reading this question itself, we understood that yes, there's a disagreement. Team has not been able to do it, so project manager involvement is required in this case. Right? Now, what would be the option is a different thing altogether. But if your mind has started thinking about it, that yes, the project manager's involvement would be required, then we are doing a good job. Right? So we have understood the situation well. What should the project manager do? Let's see. Offer a compromise that is acceptable to both the groups. In the previous question, we discussed this, that the compromise would be helpful because we will take little bit of both the parties' point. Okay? So is it good? Yes. So we'll keep it. We cannot eliminate it. Right? So what is our approach to solving PMP question? We should try to find a mistake in the option. If I find a mistake and I'm sure about it, I'll eliminate that. As of now, this looks like a good choice, so I cannot eliminate it. If you have not found a mistake, however, then keep it. Don't say that it's the best choice. Okay, because you don't know. Unless and until you have seen the other choices, you cannot say that this is the best. Best is always a comparable thing, right? Only when you compare with other things, you can say that this is better than the other, and that's why this is the best. Right? Standing alone, nothing is best. Standing alone, it would be a good thing, right? So in this case, standing alone, option A is a good choice. But is it the best? I'll only come to know if I see options B, C, and D. Okay, so let's see that. B, select that testing methodology which poses least risk to the project. We also discussed in the previous question that whatever decisions that we take should be for the benefit of the project. So if that decision poses least risk to the project, it will be beneficial to the project. Right? So this could also be a good choice. Right? So if first, second, third was easier question, now we are heading into difficult questions. Right? Easier questions are those where you can eliminate the choices fast and are left with one choice. Put a tick and move ahead. Difficult choices are those where you see options which both work, or maybe three options that work. And then you will have to compare and decide. Okay, so let's see. Option C. Help the team members collaborate to arrive at the best solution. This will also work. Right? Collaboration is the best conflict management technique. When you bring team members together, you are helping them, you are also involved. Right? That's what we understood here. That if there's a disagreement and team has tried already, then the project manager should be involved. So we are helping them. Again, a good choice. Then we go to D. Ask the team to decide quickly, or a strict action might be taken. Now, this is where the difficulty stops. Right? From my understanding of all the questions that we received from PMI as authorized training partners, from my understanding, they don't give 4 choices where you're confused. The most difficult questions would be where there are 3 choices which look similar and you're confused whether which one is correct or which one is better. Okay? Here, we are very clear that this is wrong. You cannot do that. You cannot say that okay, take a decision and I take a strict action. You have to help them take decisions. Right? So now we are left with 3 choices, not left with, we are actually have 3 choices and we have to decide which one is better. This is where your mindset would come up and play a big picture, right? A big role to play. Because whatever you have learned during your training, whatever you have done during your practice, whatever you have learned through these kind of videos, it will all be applied now here. Okay? So let us see. Offer a compromise. So compromise is helping in both the groups, but there will be a little bit of sacrifice. Okay? Collaboration, when we saw, and we said collaboration is the best technique, right? So collaboration is one up over compromise. Compromise means both the parties win a little and lose a little on their opinion. Collaborate means both the parties, when they finalize the solution, both are happy. Right? So we'll always go for a win-win situation. So C is better than A. We could eliminate A. Then we go to B. Select that testing methodology which poses least risk to the project. Now, if you look at this is again kind of a decision that we are taking. Okay, and as such, it is not a wrong decision. It is helping the project, but the decision is not complete. Okay? So when you are saying that I'll decide a testing methodology which poses least risk to the project, you are focusing on only one constraints, and there are 6 major constraints: cost, schedule, resources, right? Scope part of it, quality. So you have to think about other constraints also. You cannot take a decision based on just one constraint. Okay, yes, this testing methodology poses least risk to the project. What if it is very costly? What if it will take a lot of time? Will you select that as a choice? No. Okay? So the mindset, the tip here is that whenever you see an option, okay, that is talking about just one constraint, and that constraint alone is not discussed in the question. Okay, very, very important. Right? They are not discussing about that constraint alone. They are talking about very general thing, and you are talking about very specific thing here. This is what I like to call as scope shift in a question. That my scenario scope was general, while my option scope is specific. So you have to ask a question, why only risk? That's it. That's the only question that you have to ask. Why only risk? And you will realize that it's not a good choice. I cannot take a decision just based on risk. Okay. That way you'll be able to eliminate it. B we have already eliminated. C is left. C is the best choice. Right? So what is your approach to solve PMP exam question? Read the scenario, understand it well. Finally, you have to answer the exam question, So understand the question also well. Look for eliminating the choices in the option. If you cannot eliminate it, just park it. If you can eliminate it, eliminate it. And then whatever options, typically you will see that you have 2 options confusing, not 3. 3 would be difficult. 1 would be easy. You will put a tick and move ahead. But typically you will see that there are 2 choices in which you are confused. Compare and then decide. This is what we did. In comparison, compromise is not as good as collaboration. So we eliminated A. B was talking only about one particular constraint, and we should take a decision based on multiple other constraints also. So we cannot take a decision here. C is the best choice. I hope these questions are helping you in understanding the way the questions are asked, the way you should think about in the options, the way you should apply your mindset to be able to pass the exam successfully. Okay. Let us see the last question of today's task. Okay. Now you see a huge question, right? Big sentences, many number of sentences. It covers almost entire screen. Will you see such long sentences also in the exam? Yes. How many? I don't know. Right? I will not give you. I'll just not scare you or just try to motivate you saying that, okay, you'll not see a lot of questions. We don't know, right? PMI does not release all these things. But do you see a lot of such questions? Yes. How many? It's up to your luck. Okay. But are these longer questions difficult? Probably not. Because longer questions will give you more information, and that's what you need to solve problems. Right? So maybe it is easier, maybe it is difficult. But will you see longer sentences also? Yes. You should be prepared. A project to develop a software application that will help various departments in the organization is in its initiating stages. Training the user team members is one of the major project deliverables. The department heads want to create a detailed training program for their team members on the system usage. But since the project manager has never worked on a similar software before, they want to quickly start the execution and use shorter development cycles to gain early feedback and adapt. Very similar to, I think, question number 3, where again there's a conflict, right? Training is one of the important deliverables, that one of the information given. Department heads want a detailed training program, and the team wants to quickly start the execution. So they're saying, we'll start training and then we'll realize what addition or what subtraction is to be done in the training, and we'll do that. But at least we start, we get a feedback whether the users are learning or not. While the functional head is saying, no, if you are training my team members, train them properly, plan everything in detail, and then do the training. Right? So that's what the conflict is. So how should the project manager decide the best project management approach? Okay, very similar questions, because of course this is the same task that we are talking about. So questions will also be similar. Let's see how do we solve these type of questions. As functional heads are key stakeholders, ensure the team uses traditional approach. We have seen this and we cannot go wrong here. Right? A conflict is resolved for the benefit of the project. A problem is solved for the benefit of the project, not to please someone. Okay, so yes, they are key stakeholders. We should take care of the requirements, but that does not mean that if there's a conflict, I'll just go ahead every time with them. Right? That would be a very wrong thing to do. We will not do that. Then we go to B. As a servant leader, allow the team members to manage project using adaptive approaches. Since we did not go with key stakeholders, right, we should also not go with the team members. Why would I select any one party over the other? Just because I'm a servant leader, I should always put my team first? No. That's the mindset, but we are doing the wrong thing here. If there's a conflict, the servant leader would bring both the conflicting parties and then decide. They will not say that, okay, I'm a servant leader, I should always keep my team first. So here you go. Team, whatever you want to do. Right? Not a good choice. Then we go to C. Facilitate a compromise between team and functional head by adopting a hybrid approach. Possible. But we have seen in the previous question that compromise might not always be the right choice. So we'll have to look at D. And if D is not as good as C, only then C will be selected. Let's see. Suggest discussing and finalizing the approach a day before execution starts. Right? If you are in a rush to solve questions, you will say, okay, suggest discussing and finalizing. Over compromise looks like collaboration. Okay, this is a good choice. Or better than C. No. You have to read the entire sentence. And as simple as it may sound, through my discussion with many participants who take our mock exam packages and we discuss their performance with them, I have seen this happening. People are in a rush to find the keywords. They find it and they put a tick. And during discussion, I highlight them that you missed the second part, which is a day before execution. Why? Should we not decide it a little bit, maybe a week before, or maybe 2 days before? Why a day before? Right? So this is not right. Yes, you are using collaboration, but you are using it at a wrong time. Compromise is a better approach here. So the point here is we will not take decisions just to please anyone. So will not be resolved conflicts in the favor of one party. Both the parties should be happy. Second is, whenever we are suggesting something, okay, we should read the entire sentence and see if there is a part of the sentence that makes the option wrong and eliminate it. Compare and you'll always find a better choice. Okay. So I hope this discussion has helped you in understanding this task a little bit better. And as promised, at the end, I would give you a checklist of what all things you should know for this particular task. One is to understand all the mindset that we discussed, and second is to learn about it. Right? So, what are the things that you should know? One is B. Lee's model of conflict. It talks about 5 stages of conflict. Okay, starts from difference of opinion, then go to disagreement, and it goes till the World War stage. So it is a very important part that we should be able to interpret, okay, by looking at the environment in our team, by looking at the discussions, by looking at the dialogues that they are talking about, and be able to understand the level of conflict. Why? Because it will tell us, should we get involved, should we not get involved, should we bring any other party to involve, should we rearrange the assignments, should we remove the team members from one another. Okay, so what type of decisions you will be able to take? You will be able to take only if you have understood the source and stages of conflict, right? So that is the two things that you should know. One is that you should be aware of B. Lee's model of conflict, what it says, and you should also be able to interpret, because they will not give you just exact terms as I discussed. They'll be explaining those terms. So you should be able to read those terms and interpret, understand what is the source and stage of that conflict. Okay, so that's the second thing. Then you also should know about all the 5 conflict management techniques. We talked about collaboration, we talked about compromise, we talked about force, we talked about direct, we also talked about withdraw, right? So there are 5 conflict techniques. You should know about them, and you should know when to use which. Right? So first, understand about the model of conflict and understand how to interpret it. Then understand the management techniques and also understand when to use what. Right? Understanding the model and the application, both are important. Ultimately, understanding the application will help you in solving the question, but you will not be able to understand the application if you have not understood the model. Same thing here. There are 5 techniques, you should know about them, and you should also know how to use it. So application. Right? This is precisely the reason why we have designed our training programs as an application-driven training program. Right? Because when you are taking the PMP exam, it's not going to be about just the models. It is going to be about application of those models. Right? And you should practice those more than just trying to memorize the terms and this and that. Okay? And ultimately, apply the mindset of the conflict resolution. What are those mindsets that we talked about? Everything is there in the description box. Please go to the description box, copy it, paste it in a Word file, paste it on a PowerPoint presentation, and keep it with you for your use 1 week before the exam, or maybe to review it multiple times whenever you want to revise this. Okay. I hope this covers the entire gamut of what we need to do in terms of learning about conflict management. I hope these questions helped you in understanding better. Next, we will talk about task number 2 from the people domain. Till then, thank you so much. Keep preparing, keep learning, and see you on the next week.